The Burial Mound. One day a rich farmer stood in his yard and looked at his fields and gardens. The grain was growing vigorously, and the fruit trees were laden with fruit. The previous year's grain was still lying in such mighty heaps on the floor that the beams could barely bear the weight. Then he went into the stable, where the fattened oxen, the plump cows, and the sleek, smooth horses stood. Finally, he went back into his parlor and cast his eyes on the iron chests where his money lay. As he stood there surveying his wealth, there was a sudden, violent knock. But it wasn't a knock on the door of his parlor, it was a knock on the door of his heart. It opened, and he heard a voice that spoke to him. "Have you done good to your own? Have you looked upon the needs of the poor? Have you shared your bread with the hungry? Were you content with what you possessed, or did you always crave more?" The heart did not hesitate to answer. "I have been hard and unyielding, and have never shown kindness to my own. If a poor person came, I turned my eye away. I did not concern myself with God, but only with increasing my wealth. If all that the heavens covered had been my own, I still would not have had enough." When he heard this answer, he was violently startled. His knees began to tremble and he had to sit down. Then there was another knock, but this time it was on the door of his parlor. It was his neighbor, a poor man with a handful of children he could no longer feed. "I know," the poor man thought, "my neighbor is rich, but he is just as hard. I don't think he will help me, but my children are crying for bread, so I will risk it." He said to the rich man, "You don't easily give away what is yours, but I am like someone with water up to their neck. My children are hungry, lend me 4 measures of corn." The rich man looked at him for a long time, and then the first ray of mercy began to melt a drop from the ice of his greed. "I will not lend you 4 measures, he answered, "but I will give you 8, but you must fulfill one condition." "What should I do?" asked the poor man. "When I am dead, you must stand watch at my grave for 3 nights. The farmer felt uneasy about the proposal, but in the distress he was in he would have agreed to anything, so he said yes and carried the grain home. It was as if the rich man had foreseen what would happen. 3 days later he suddenly fell to the ground, dead. No one was quite sure what had happened, but no one mourned him. When he was buried, the poor man remembered his promise. He would have gladly been released from it, but he thought, "He proved to be charitable to you. You fed your hungry children with his grain, and even if that wasn't the case, you gave your promise and you must keep it." As night fell, he went to the churchyard and sat on the burial mound. Everything was quiet. Only the moon shone over the burial mounds, and sometimes an owl flew by and made its mournful sounds. When the sun rose, the poor man went home unharmed, and the second night also passed peacefully. On the evening of the 3rd day, he felt a special anxiety. It was as if something was still to come. When he came out, he saw a man by the churchyard wall whom he had never seen before. He was no longer young, had scars on his face, and his eyes darted about, sharp and fiery. He was completely covered in an old cloak, and only large riding boots were visible. "What are you looking for here?" the farmer addressed him. "Aren't you afraid in this lonely churchyard?" "I'm not looking for anything," he answered, "but I'm not afraid of anything either. I am like the boy who set out to learn how to shudder and tried in vain, but he got the king's daughter as his wife and with her great riches, and I have always remained poor. I am nothing but a discharged soldier, and want to spend the night here because I have no other shelter." "If you have no fear," said the farmer, "then stay with me and help me guard the burial mound there." "Standing watch is a soldier's business," he replied. "Whatever we encounter here, good or bad, we will bear it together." The farmer agreed, and they sat down together on the grave. Everything remained still until midnight, when a piercing whistle suddenly sounded in the air, and the 2 guards saw the evil one, who stood before them in person. "Get out, you rascals," he shouted at them. "The one who lies in that grave is mine. I want to get him, and if you don't leave, I'll wring your necks." "Sir with the red feather," said the soldier, "you are not my captain. I don't have to obey you, and I still haven't learned to fear. Go on your way, we will stay sitting here." The devil thought, "Gold is the best way to catch these 2 ragamuffins," and he changed his tune, asking quite amiably if they would not accept a bag of gold and go home with it. "That sounds reasonable," the soldier replied, "but a bag full of gold is not enough for us. If you want to give us as much gold as will fit into one of my boots, we will clear the field for you and leave." "I don't have that much with me," said the devil, "but I will get it. In the neighboring town lives a money changer who is a good friend of mine. He'll gladly advance me that much." When the devil had disappeared, the soldier took off his left boot and said, "We'll play a trick on that charcoal burner, just give me your knife, friend." He cut the sole off the boot and placed it next to the mound in the tall grass on the edge of a half-overgrown pit. "So everything is good," he said. "Now the chimney sweep can come." Both sat and waited. It wasn't long before the devil came with a small bag of gold in his hand. "Just pour it in," said the soldier and lifted the boot a little. "But it won't be enough." The black one emptied the little bag, the gold fell through, and the boot remained empty. "You stupid devil," cried the soldier. "It's not working. Didn't I tell you right away? Just turn back, and get more." The devil shook his head, went, and came back an hour later, with a much larger sack under his arm. "Just fill it up," cried the soldier. "But I doubt the boot will be full." The gold jingled as it fell down, and the boot remained empty. The devil looked in with his glowing eyes, and convinced himself of the truth. "You have outrageously strong calves," he cried, twisting his mouth. "Do you think," the soldier retorted, "that I have a horse's hoof like you? Since when have you been so stingy? Go and get more gold, or our deal is off." The fiend trotted off again. This time he stayed away longer, and when he finally appeared, he was panting under the burden of a sack that was on his shoulder. He poured it into the boot, but it filled up just as little as before. He became furious and wanted to snatch the boot from the soldier's hand, but at that moment, the first ray of the rising sun broke through the sky, and the evil spirit fled with a loud scream. The poor soul was saved. The farmer wanted to share the gold, but the soldier said, "Give what falls to me to the poor. I will move in with you in your hut, and we will live together in peace and quiet with the rest, for as long as God wills."
Thank you for listening. If you like our stories, please like and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.